Imagine waking up one morning and finding out your neighbours think you work for the devil. Not because there's evidence, not because anyone actually saw you do anything, but because a group of children said your ghost hurt them. And somehow, that was enough. Now imagine this. You're dragged into court. Everyone already thinks you're guilty. The judges don't care about proof. The town is terrified. People are screaming, praying, crying. Your own neighbours avoid looking at you. Then the court gives you two choices. Confess to being a witch, and you live. Or keep saying you're innocent, and you die. That was the reality in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. And what makes this story terrifying isn't just the executions. It's how fast normal people became completely disconnected from reality. Because this wasn't one evil mastermind manipulating everyone. This was fear. Fear spreading from house to house like smoke until an entire town lost its mind together. Tonight, we are going to talk about the Salem witch trials. Welcome to the podcast you can't unhear. Salem, Massachusetts. When people picture Salem today, they usually imagine Halloween decorations, witches on souvenir mugs, maybe tourists taking photos outside museums. But the real Salem was not spooky in a fun way. It was exhausting, cold, paranoid. The kind of place where survival already felt fragile before the accusations even started. The Puritans who lived there were deeply religious English Protestants who believed almost everything happening around them was part of a spiritual war between God and the devil. And when I say deeply religious, I mean deeply. These were people who genuinely believed Satan could physically enter their town through human beings. Witches weren't fairy tale characters to them. Witches were terrorists. Their entire worldview revolved around sin, punishment, and divine judgment. So every illness, failed crop, strange dream, or sudden death had spiritual meaning attached to it. Now mix that mentality with isolation, disease, political instability, conflict with Native American tribes, fear of attack, harsh winters, and people already distrusting each other. And psychologically, you've basically created the perfect environment for mass hysteria. And then came the winter of 1692, one of the coldest winters they had experienced. The village was already tense. Then suddenly, two young girls started behaving strangely. 9-year-old Betty Paris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams. At first, people thought maybe they were sick, but the symptoms became bizarre. The girls screamed uncontrollably, twisted their bodies into painful positions, threw fits, claimed they were being pinched and attacked by invisible forces. And eventually, more girls began behaving the same way. That detail is important, because fear is contagious. Humans mirror each other constantly. Emotion spreads through groups faster than logic does. Panic, especially. Even today, psychologists still study mass psychogenic illness, where entire groups begin experiencing symptoms because of stress, fear, and social influence. But back then, they didn't have psychological explanations. So when a doctor examined the girls and couldn't find anything physically wrong, he concluded they must be under an evil hand. And that single statement changed everything. Because once adults accepted the idea that witches existed in Salem, the town started looking for them everywhere. And here's where the story gets uncomfortable. The first women accused weren't random. They were vulnerable. Outcasts. Easy targets. Sarah Good was poor, pregnant, and homeless. Sarah Osborne rarely attended church and was involved in legal disputes. And Tituba was an enslaved woman from the Caribbean who worked in Betty Paris's household. That pattern repeats throughout history constantly. When societies panic, they almost never blame the powerful first. They blame the socially inconvenient, the isolated, the different. On February 29, 1692, the three women were arrested. At first, Tituba denied the accusations, but then something changed. She confessed. Not only did she confess, she gave the court exactly what they wanted. She claimed the devil had ordered her to work as a witch and accused Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne too. And this is the moment the trials truly spiraled out of control. Because confession became currency. Think about the impossible situation these people were trapped in. If you denied being a witch, the court saw it as proof you were lying. But if you confessed, apologized, and accused other people too, suddenly the authorities treated you as cooperative. You lived. That creates a horrifying incentive system. The court was basically rewarding false confessions. And once people realized confession meant survival, the accusations exploded. One accused woman was reportedly told directly that she would hang if she refused to confess, but would go free if she admitted guilt. So what would you do? That's the part I keep thinking about. Because it's easy to say, I would never falsely confess. But imagine knowing your life depends on telling a lie. Imagine sitting in a freezing jail cell, hearing executions happen around you. Imagine realizing truth no longer matters. At that point, survival starts rewriting morality. Meanwhile, the trials themselves became completely absurd. The court accepted something called spectral evidence, which basically meant if someone claimed your invisible spirit attacked them in a dream or vision, that counted as evidence against you. Just pause and think about that. There was literally no way to defend yourself. How do you prove your ghost didn't attack somebody? It's almost like the court accidentally created the perfect crime accusation. Invisible evidence, invisible witnesses, invisible attacks, and the adults fully committed to it. The girls would suddenly scream during trials, collapse onto the floor, point at accused women, and claim invisible spirits were hurting them right there in court. And instead of questioning this behavior, the judges treated it seriously. That's the terrifying thing about mass hysteria. Once enough people collectively agree on a false reality, doubting it becomes dangerous. Even Judge Nathaniel Saltonstall, who criticized the trials, eventually resigned because suspicion started turning toward anyone who challenged the process. That part feels incredibly modern. Not the witchcraft part. The social pressure part. The fear of speaking against the crowd. The fear that disagreement itself makes you suspicious. By spring of 1692, more than 100 people had been jailed. 20 people were executed. 14 women, 6 men. And one case especially stands out to me. Sarah Good. Remember her? The pregnant woman accused at the very beginning. Her own husband testified against her. Her 4-year-old daughter was imprisoned too, and eventually testified against her own mother. A 4-year-old. That detail genuinely makes my stomach drop. Because by that point, the paranoia had become stronger than family bonds. Stronger than logic. Stronger than basic humanity. Sarah gave birth in prison. Her baby died shortly afterward. Then she was hanged. And still the accusations continued spreading. Town after town, person after person, until eventually the hysteria reached people too powerful to ignore. The governor's own wife was accused. And suddenly the trials stopped. Funny how panic becomes irrational once it threatens important people. Governor William Phips suspended the trials, released prisoners, and prevented further arrests. Just like that. The nightmare ended. I think one reason the Salem witch trials still fascinate people is because, deep down, we want to believe we would never participate in something like that. But history keeps proving otherwise. Humans are incredibly vulnerable to fear-driven thinking. Some historians think the girls may have suffered from illness, trauma, hallucinations, or even fungus poisoning from contaminated rye. But the truth is, we'll probably never fully know why the girls behaved the way they did. What we do know is that adults failed catastrophically. Children made accusations. Adults built executions around them. And an entire justice system abandoned evidence in favor of panic. The Salem witch trials became one of history's clearest warnings about what happens when fear becomes stronger than truth. Because witch hunts never really disappear. They just evolve. The language changes. The technology changes. But humans still do the same thing. That's what makes Salem so unsettling. It doesn't feel ancient. It feels familiar. And maybe that is the scariest part of all. Stay safe, guys. See you on the next episode of the podcast You Can't Unhear.